Hey everybody, welcome to another week. And I am Sarah Mislowski with KeyPoint Homes Group and helping you move to Georgia. Today we are going to be talking about where have all the new construction homes gone, or where are they located in the metro Atlanta area. So I'm happy to talk with you about where you can find those new construction deals, if there are any left to be had out there. I found a good one today for a client. So I'm excited to share that with y'all. And we're going to be talking about what you can get for your price point for new construction in the areas that y'all call me about all the time. And so I'm going to share with you like what that actually translates to and what is out there and available. And of course, we're going to be answering your questions about making a move, the Georgia real estate market, anything about buying or selling a house. Maybe you just want to talk about the market in general. So I am happy to talk with you about that. One of the things that's drastically changed here in Georgia is that schools have started back. And so your morning commute is a little bit longer now because you're going through those school bus zones, not school bus zones, the school zones that are slowing you down a little bit in your commute. So you get school buses that are out there on the road now. And that's always something that my out-of-state clients are very interested to find out is how early we start school back here in Georgia. There is one county nearby. They start school back like July 28th. I think starting school in July is just like criminal. That should not be allowed. So many schools here are almost into their full first week of school that will end this Friday. So used to be a former teacher. So glad I am not in the school system anymore. It takes a very special person, and there's some really talented and dedicated people that are teaching your wonderful kiddos. But I'm thankful that I get to teach you in a little bit different way. So if you're joining us, I would love to know where you're watching from. Give me a shout out below and introduce yourself and tell me where you are watching from. It's always so interesting to see where we get people watching. And of course, if you have any questions about anything having to do with the housing market, make sure that you ask those in the comments. We'll make sure to put those up and get your questions answered. So today's topic is all about where are all the new construction homes. And I shared this with you 2 live streams ago last week. Can't remember. The week. It's been so busy, it all runs together. One of the questions I frequently get asked about, specifically new construction, is do you need a new construction? Like, do you need an agent on your side whenever you are buying a new construction home? So for sure, you can go directly to the builder. We're going to look at some builders' websites and some information here shortly. Yes, you can definitely go to the builder directly and get their help with buying a house. What you are going to get, though, is you're going to get an agent that represents the builder and solely the builder's best interests. Yes, they're going to be nice. They are going to be so accommodating. They're going to be informative. They are going to give you all the information that you need whenever you call and inquire and go visit them. However, when push comes to shove, when things get yucky and mucky, I don't know if that's a word, that is when you are going to wish that you had a real estate agent on your side. And the great thing is that 98% of the cases, it's not going to cost you anything whatsoever to have an agent representing you on your side. So let me share with you the story of my clients that we are currently under contract building a new construction house right now. And it was very important to this buyer that they close on their new home in May of next year. It was going to take this builder 10 plus months to build the house. And it was very important that they close in May of next year because they had some pretty important life events that were happening, a retirement that was planned. They were selling a house. They didn't want to own 2 homes at one time, and that was the plan. So we went under contract with this new construction build, knowing that we were going to close in May of next year. Well, go forward a little bit into the contract, and the builder's agent calls up and says, hey, the builder's actually a little bit ahead of schedule, and just want to give you a heads up that this home's now going to be ready at the end of March. And so my buyer and I had a conversation. We were like, okay, that doesn't exactly line up with what we wanted, but it is not that big of a deal to change it, move it up 6 weeks. It's going to be fine. So we verbally agreed to that change. And then 6 weeks later, the builder calls and says, oh, not only are we going to move it up again, but instead of closing in March, we now want to close the beginning of January. That's like a full 5 months earlier than what we had contractually agreed to. And the builder and the builder's agent were pretty adamant that this is what we were going to do. And if we wanted to keep our original close date, we were going to have to pay a huge penalty in order to do that. And if you can imagine being on my side, I was like, heck to the no, we are not doing that. Any solution that causes my buyer to pay more money, they were wanting the buyer to cover the builder's interest and carrying cost of having the home complete in January, but not closing until May. Crazy, absurd. Now, I've had builders before reach out and say, hey, we can't close on this home on our original close date. It's going to be a couple weeks later, or heaven forbid, in the pandemic, those houses got pushed out like 2 months later. And that was because of supply chain issues and, that sort of thing. It's very abnormal for a builder to push out a close date. So just know that. Most builders, they want to keep that great reputation. They want to close on time. They want to make clients happy because they want you to spread the good word and other people to buy in the community. But I've never had a buyer or builder call me and say they were going to be ready that early. So then when they were trying to make us close in January, we were very firm. We were not doing that. And long story short, we ended up making the builder stick to their original close time frame without making us pay any type of penalty or anything like that. But I guarantee you, if my buyer would not have had an agent representing him, pushing back and advocating for him and telling the builder, no way were we going to do that, I don't think the builder would have changed. I think the builder would have held firm. So, 9 times out of 10, your new construction experience is going to go well. And when it goes bad, you're going to wish you had someone, and it doesn't cost you anything. So that is my soapbox on why you should have an agent represent you on a new construction transaction. That's just one example. We have Carl joining us from New Jersey. Welcome, Carl. Thanks for being with us tonight on the live stream. I'm happy to have you here. We already have a question rolling in. Thanks, Gerald, for joining us on the live stream. Can you explain to me why Zillow and Redfin's valuation of my home wildly differ? Yes and no. So Zillow and Redfin are using an algorithm to determine the value of the sales of your home. And so obviously that means to me that there's some sort of difference in the algorithm and what data that is pulling to come to the valuation of your house. So one thing that is really interesting here, especially locally in the metro Atlanta area, is Zillow, whenever they're doing their valuation, they're looking to see what nearby homes have sold, and they're using just the raw data that they have, the square footage, the lot size, the neighborhood, how fast it sold, and they're using that information. But what they don't know is they don't have the ability to see the pictures of the house. They don't know if it's been renovated. They don't know if you put in an addition. They don't know that you have a $100,000 pool in the backyard. The algorithm does not know that. And this really gets into some predicaments here in the lake area. So we have a lot of houses on the lake, but the algorithms typically cannot pick up that you're a lake home with a dock. And so, for example, I get, we have a lake house, and I get those solicitations all the time in the mail from Open Doors saying that we want to buy your house. And the valuation of my home is ridiculously low. I mean, incredibly low. And it's because they just think I'm just a traditional 1960s brick ranch in a little rental neighborhood. And that's not the case at all. We are a little 1960s brick ranch, but we're on the lake now, and that gives a lot of extra value. So the algorithms can't determine those things. And Zillow and Redfin, obviously those algorithms are picking up probably from different recent sales. And so you want to make sure that those recent sales are relevant to your actual home. It may be picking up a recent sale from a neighborhood that's nowhere near comparable to your actual neighborhood. You might have a drastically different type of home that is sold just outside of your neighborhood versus you might be in a gated neighborhood, and maybe there's some lesser expensive homes in a different neighborhood right near, but it might be pulling some of that data. So that's a reason why. But the best way to determine the value of your home is to reach out to a local real estate agent. Even if you have no plans of selling your house and you just want to know what the value of your home is, please reach out. We love to provide that data and information. Make that relationship, because, hey, you never know when you might move. And the real estate agent is going to be happy that they've had a chance to get to know you and help you in some ways. And hopefully in the future, you'll might have an opportunity to use that agent again in the future. So I would definitely reach out to a local real estate agent to get that information. All right, if you are just joining us, if you have questions about making a move, drop them in the chat. If you have any questions whatsoever, we are here today to answer those questions for you. But I would love to know, where are you tuning in from and where are you watching us from? Let me know. I'd love to see how far and wide this live stream and the channel reaches. All right, so today, let's get into it. Where are all the new construction homes? I get to help a lot of y'all, and I'm so thankful for that. And just about 50% of those phone calls that I receive is the fact that people only want to buy a new construction home. They're not interested in a resale house, and they say, hey, Sarah, it has to be new construction for us. And so they want to know where they can buy the house. Or they may say, hey, we've watched your videos, we've been on the channel, we know we really like the Cumming and Alpharetta area, and that's where we want to be, but it has to be new construction. And so then I say, okay, great, let's talk more about that and tell me a little bit more about your budget. And that's where things can get tricky, because we can want new construction all we want, but the better question is, can we afford it in the areas that we want? So I am going to share my screen. We are going to look at a map together of all the great new construction homes that are out there. Okay, so I am on a website called newhomesource.com. And this is a heat map of Atlanta of where you can find new construction homes. Now, I do have a filter on right now. I've only selected single family houses. And you can see, you would look at this map and you say, hey, Sarah, there seems to be a ton of new construction neighborhoods all around the metro Atlanta area. And in fact, if we zoom in on these bubbles, sometimes they multiply, but that gives you a good heat map. So let's look at the North Metro Atlanta area, which is primarily where, if you're moving to Atlanta, this is really kind of like where you want to be. If you're down here inside the perimeter of Atlanta, obviously, look, no new construction homes here, right? So if you're saying, hey, I want a yard, I want to have a dog, and new construction, you're not finding it inside the perimeter of 285. You're going to have to go outside the perimeter. A lot of people reach out and they say, hey, we want to be in a good kind of family-friendly area, somewhere with good schools. We want to be around a lot of other families. And this metro Atlanta suburb area is going to be where you're going to find that. All right, so let's take a look. And I'm going to zoom out just a tiny bit. Well, that's too much. Okay. Down here in the corner is an area of Monroe, which we frequently refer to. I'm going to pull this map up a little bit. We've got Gainesville up here, Alpharetta, Cumming, very, very popular areas. So let's just say that you wanted to find a house less than $500,000. We want new construction under 500, and let's apply that filter. Okay, so it becomes kind of strikingly clear from this map of where you need to look if you want to find new construction under 500. And let's zoom out a little bit. You can see that this corridor, or this section of the greater metro Atlanta area, from all the way up 285 to 400, 400 is going all the way up to Dawsonville. You have to go all the way up to Dawsonville before you can get a single family home under $500,000. And I live this day in and day out. So many of you reach out and say, hey, I want to be in Cumming, or I want to be in Alpharetta. And you can see that that price point just doesn't cut it there. But if you look over here to the, I don't know, whatever side that is to y'all, I don't know if it's right or left. Somebody help me out. If you look over here, if you look over to the southeast side from Cumming, you will see we have lots more opportunities to be in a new construction home for under 500,000. So the further out you go from the metro Atlanta area, the more options that you are going to have. And here is a triangle pocket of area between Jefferson, Lawrenceville, Snellville, and we've got Grayson and Monroe down here. There are a ton of great new construction options in here if this is where you are wanting to be, or if specifically you are wanting new construction. So if you're just joining us and you have any questions about new construction, go ahead and ask those. We'll make sure that we get to those questions and get those answered throughout the live stream tonight. So let me get back to my screen here. Okay. But let's say that you wanted to be incoming. So how much do we need to spend to be incoming? Let's figure this out. So I'm going to go over here and type in coming. And all right, so we've got the community of Montebello. That is a Toll Brothers community. They are building those from $744,995. Let's just dig into these numbers a little bit. Toll Brothers is a fantastic builder, and this is something that a neighborhood or a builder that people frequently reach out to and want more information on. This neighborhood is almost to completion, and one thing that is a little bit tricky, if we go down here to available homes, you see they've got one house that is going to be 1.3, another at 847, almost 850. You have low 800s down here. And you have some in the upper 700 price point range. The one thing that is missing from this pricing, unless it is a move-in ready now house, what's missing from this pricing is what they call a lot premium. So whenever you buy a home in most neighborhoods, and I say most big builder neighborhoods, they are going to charge a lot premium. And I was trying to see if I could pull up a map for you of their a lot map. They have lot maps available. Let's get to it. Here we go. Oh, this is not going to be user-friendly for me, is it? Okay, let's go back to this view. It's a little bit harder to see, but all the red dots are everything that's been sold. And you can see down here that this green dot is down here in a cul-de-sac. And that cul-de-sac lot is going to sell for more of a premium than, let's say, if you were to buy this green dot, which is just in between two other houses and kind of like slap dab in the middle of the street. Your in lots, your corner lots are going to sell for more than your interior lots. And also you have some of these lots are going to be conducive to having a basement. Those are going to cost more than a slab lot. So the builder, they're advertising when they say home starting at, that's like the very basic price of the house. That's without any upgrades, without any structural changes, and without your lot premium. And so depending upon the builder and depending upon the area, whenever you go in there, once you pick out the house that you want, and then you pick out the lot that you want, you're likely adding tens of thousands of dollars to the cost of your house based on the lot premium that they are charging. So in some of your smaller builders, like let's say D.R. Horton or Chafin is another community that a local builder, they build a lot of houses in the area. They are going to have some lot premium, but it's going to be like around $3,000 to $5,000. It's not going to be the $20,000, $30,000 or $40,000 that you may see in a neighborhood or with a builder like Toll Brothers. So that is something to keep in mind whenever you are looking at these prices of the house. You got to take into consideration who the builder is and how they do their pricing structure. I had a call from a client who was looking in the popular Crestwind Twin Lakes community, which is a 55 plus neighborhood in Houston. And if you go on their website, it shows many floor plans that start at 389, 390. And so she was expecting like, oh, I can build a house under 400,000. And that is not the case. You have to do your lot premium. And in that particular neighborhood, it can get quite expensive once you add that lot premium. It's for sure going to take her over the 400,000 mark. And then also whenever you add in some of the upgrades that you're going to want to do on the home, that's definitely pushes you. So I always like to tell you that if you're looking for new construction homes and you go to these websites that I just showed you, and they say starting at, I would go ahead and plan to add $25,000 to $50,000 to that. And that is a good idea of how much what you can kind of budget for extra margin in what they're sharing with you. So going back to new construction incoming, let's take a look at new construction in Alpharetta. This is a question that I get a lot is, we want new construction, but we want to be in Alpharetta or Johns Creek. What are my options? Well, you can see there's only really 2 options available right now in Alpharetta if you want new construction. And here you see that this new construction opportunity is a townhouse. You're not going to have a yard, and it's not going to be a single family residence. So for some people, that's fine. And a lot of people, they want what am I trying to say? They want the yard. All right. Another option that you have, and I think it's opening up another tab, and I don't know if you can see that. You likely can't, can you? Okay. That's not going to work. All right. And then you see another new construction that is in Alpharetta, and that one is a Taylor Morrison community, and that is going to be 1.2 range for a new construction house. And one of the main reasons that you're going to find that you don't find a lot of new construction opportunities in Alpharetta or even in Suwanee, we get a lot of calls or, people that want to move to the Suwanee area and they want new construction, or Johns Creek and they want new construction. It's hard because those towns are established towns that are older and they've already been all built out. There is no more land left for them to build houses. And so new construction opportunities that you will see, similarly to what we just saw in Alpharetta, is that you'll have new construction townhome opportunities. And so you might find townhome opportunities, but if you're looking for new construction, you are not going to find that in Suwanee, Alpharetta, Johns Creek. Another great question that I get all the time, which I get it, I would ask this too, is, okay, fine, there may not be a builder building houses, but let's buy a lot and we'll build our own house on there. We'll find our own builder. And it's kind of for the same reason of why the builders haven't built on it, is that there aren't hardly any lots left available to buy. Trust me, if it's out there and if it's suitable for a good house, a spec builder is going to come along and they are going to snatch up that lot and they're going to build a house on it. And then they're going to turn around and sell it for a hefty profit. Now, when there is a lot available in these communities, you have to keep in mind that oftentimes they're just off the side of the road. They are not going to be in a neighborhood. It's very rare to find a lot in a neighborhood that hasn't been built out. So when you find these lots, they're typically on the side of the road. When I say on the side of the road, it's just, you're driving around and, it could be the gas station and then half a mile down the road, there's entrances to neighborhoods, but then there is the house, that someone built or a builder just put on a lot. And then you might have grandma's house next door that hasn't been updated since 1960s and it's kind of run down and it needs a lot of attention, and that's your neighbor. And then across the street, you might have another kind of rundown house. And that is what you get whenever you purchase a lot in these areas. And so another thing to keep in mind too is that you have to ask yourself, why hasn't someone else already bought this and put a house on it? Oftentimes there's a reason, either because of the location, the area, what it looks like around, or the lot just may not be conducive to an actual good sizable house that you would want to build. Maybe the soil testing is not good on that lot. There might be difficulty getting sewer to the lot. And so then you'd have to have a septic system. then you may have to have a specialized septic system. So I'm trying to say is that it's incredibly difficult just to find your own builder and find a suitable lot to build on in these areas because they're so popular. If it was a good lot, a builder would have already picked it up and bought on it. So it just requires some extra due diligence whenever you're going through that process of considering buying a lot. Now, in some of the neighborhoods that you'll see in the more rural suburban areas of Atlanta, there is possible still the ability to find a lot in a neighborhood that hasn't been built on, and it doesn't kind of meet those same challenges that you would find in Alpharetta or Swanee or Johns Creek area. Okay, so let's go back looking at new construction communities. And we talked about how if we had a certain budget and we were trying to find, a more affordable house under 500,000, then you are going to be looking in the Northeast Metro Atlanta area. And a lot of your options are going to be within this triangle of Pendergrass, Jefferson, Grayson, down here. Why is that? Should be a lot of good options in Monroe. There we go. All right. This is where you are going to find a lot of options here. And so one of our favorite towns is Grayson, Loganville, and Monroe. You're going to find some really good options there. So I'm going to share with you some of our favorite new construction communities in Monroe. And so if you're watching, you may be in retirement age and you might be thinking, hey, I want a ranch house and it would be great if I had a half acre or maybe even an acre size lot and I kind of want some privacy. That's where I want to be. And the answer to that is you're going to find it in Monroe. So let's take a look at some of these neighborhoods. So the columns at Providence by Reliance, we have a client buying a house, and there right now they have lots of 2-story options and they have ranch style homes. Out in Monroe, you can get a 3-car garage. This is a 2,200 square foot home, 4 bedrooms, 3 baths. This is priced at $485,000. Let's see, how big is this lot? You are going to be on 0.6 acres. So just over half of an acre lot here. And that is really kind of a little bit on the, I don't want to say smaller side, but you do have much bigger options out in Monroe. Okay, so let me see if I can go back to where we were. Go back. All right, let's take another look at one of their other floor plans that they have out here. All right, this one kind of fits right in a budget of $456, 4 bedrooms, 3 baths, 2,200 square feet home. Got a great little floor plan here. And one of the things I like about this builder is that they are putting brick details on houses. So that's going to lead to kind of like low maintenance. You're not going to have to worry about painting it. You're not going to have to worry about replacing siding or wood rot. And so that is a great thing to keep in mind. Let's see what this lot size is. This one is on 0.7 acres. So a little bit larger of an acre, half of an acre there. And so you're getting a little bit more for your money. So as we're going through what you can get for new construction and where kind of like the best deals and bang for your buck is, if you have any questions at all about the market, making a move, houses, selling a house, buying a house, mortgage loans, anything that you want to know, go ahead and ask me that question and we will pop it up here and get that question answered for you. All right, another new construction neighborhood with a really great builder in Monroe is a neighborhood called Alcovey Estates. And this neighborhood features farmhouse style homes. You've got open floor plan, you've got granite countertops, tile backsplash, hardwood floors, just really pretty finishes. And in this neighborhood as well, you're going to have really large lots as well. So you've got 2-story homes, and you also have 1-story homes as well. And you can see here that they're priced all the way from kind of like the mid to low 400s all the way up to the upper 400s. So let's say that you wanted this 2-car garage, 2-story home. You're building this one now. It's a 4.3. I don't know if this will go in and tell you the lot size, but just know that these lots are typically around half of an acre or more. They even have one community that this builder is building in right now, and that neighborhood was going to have like 3 acres, which is really big. So some of these are also in, some of these builders out in the Monroe area are building with no HOA. And so I know that's really important to you. A lot of the clients that we help is sometimes they don't want to be in an HOA. And so that's important to know that that is the area that you can find new construction homes, is back in that area. And so really the purpose of this is just to kind of share with you and to help you understand that if you're looking for new construction homes under 500,000 in the metro Atlanta area, you're really going to be within this pocket of in between 85 and what is this, 29 that comes out here to Monroe. One of the really cool things about this area is that you're close to Lawrenceville and you're also kind of close to Athens. So Athens, they got a lot going for it. They have a Costco, a Trader Joe's. Of course, you've got the University of Georgia there. So it is a great college town with all kinds of fantastic restaurants, breweries. It is really a foodie town. And so it's really fun to go to for a day trip. Now, you can find some new construction options under 500 a little bit further north. You have some options in Dawsonville over here. You have an option all the way up here in Chimney Oaks. And let's see what this is right here in Ellison on the square. So that's a townhome community. So oftentimes whenever people want a new construction home, most want a single family home. All right, here. All right, we've got Sharon joining us from North Carolina. Welcome. Thanks for joining us on the live stream tonight. Greatly appreciate it. McGodgy, what are your opinions on Jasper and Ellijay? I think Jasper and Ellijay are really great mountain towns, and it's definitely a different type of living. You know, it is a small mountain town feel, and to me, it reminds me a lot of like smaller southern towns in South Georgia. So if that's something that is appealing to you and you kind of want to be in that small, more rural town and really removed from the metro stuff, that is definitely something that you should consider. But you're only still like an hour and 15 minutes into the city of Atlanta. So you can still enjoy all of those things if that's what you want to be around. But it's definitely going to feel smaller when you're there. Whereas some of these other areas that we've been talking on the map, Brazelton and Jefferson, those towns, even though they're smaller, you're still right next to a lot of other bigger towns. So you don't really ever feel that small townness as much as you would in like Ellijay and Jasper. But I have a fantastic agent partner thinking about making a move. I would love to connect you with them because they are the experts in Jasper and Ellijay, and I want to make sure that you're going to be in great hands. So reach out to me. My contact information is below this video. And that's a good reminder. If you're just joining us on the live stream, and if you haven't already liked and subscribed to the channel, make sure you do that. We go live just about every single Wednesday, and we have a video that goes out every single Sunday. Also, beneath the live stream, you're going to find a sign up link for our new newsletter. It's going to share with you information on neighborhoods that are coming, new shopping developments and things like that that they are putting into the area, information that you would want to know if you're considering making a move here or how that's going to impact your home values. So that make sure you sign up for that newsletter. Carl asks, do you know if there are homes the banks put up for auction, and would you have access to view them? I'm glad you asked this because I know that we are all hoping that we will have access to deals in foreclosures. And I have to say that is really drastically changed over the past 5 years of how banks release any foreclosure homes that they may have. So, one of the things that is happening as a result of the pandemic, when interest rates were so low, it made borrowing so cheap. A lot of investment companies came in and they bought a significant amount of inventory of homes in the metro Atlanta area, and they converted those houses into rental homes. And they did that with the intention of not turning around and selling them, but to keep them as rental properties. And so the byproduct of that is that those big investment companies and that are backed by Wall Street and hedge funds, they have now gone directly to the banks and say, hey, everything that you have on your books, and we will buy it, all of those homes in one big chunk. And so they're going to big banks and they're saying, hey, for these sections of the state, we'll buy all 60 of your foreclosures and take them off your hands. And for the banks, that's been a huge sigh of relief. And it's given them the ability not to have to invest so many manpower and extra dollars into getting a real estate agent, doing a home valuation, going through the paperwork process, putting it on the market, paying for any upgrades or maintenance that needs to be done on the home. All of those costs really add up for banks. And it's a very, very lengthy process. And then here you have some company that just comes along and says, we'll stroke you a check and we'll buy 30 houses at a time. So banks have started to sell directly to these big investment companies. And so the amount of foreclosures that actually make it to the market is minuscule. And the difference in the market now versus 2007, 2008, if a homeowner is in trouble and they needed to sell their home because they were about to go into foreclosure, they likely have a ton of equity in their house that it's no problem selling the home on the market, saving themselves from foreclosure, and still walking away with some money in their pocket. And so that's why we just haven't seen hardly any foreclosures hit the market. And it's why we're not going to see foreclosures hit the market, because those companies are going to buy them up even before you and I get the opportunity to. It would take a drastic flood of inventory of foreclosures to hit the market for us to get a chance to see them. Every now and then you'll find a listing on Zillow that'll say pre-foreclosure. And sometimes I get calls from clients that want to, or they say, hey, I'd want to buy that. And even then, whenever you see that on Zillow, it's still likely a good 9 months to a year away before it goes through that process internally and it actually becomes a home for sale. So that's also another frustrating thing. Long answer, short point is that no, there's hardly any foreclosures anymore. And you're joining us from Canton. Awesome. I have some clients that are closing on a house tomorrow in Canton. Gorgeous area. I love it over there. It's definitely very, very pretty. So I appreciate that information or that question. So if you are just joining us and you have a question about making a move or have a question about the housing market, make sure you go ahead and ask that. If you have any questions about new construction, which is what we've been talking about here, is kind of like where are all those new construction deals? And the hint is that they're on the southeast or eastern part of the metro Atlanta suburbs. That's where the deals are at, because that's where there's land left to build and relatively flat-ish land, right? So the builder's not having to do a lot of extra grading and things like that. There's still a lot of great land over there left to build on, and there's new construction communities popping up left and right there. So if you have any questions about making a move or purchasing a house or selling a house, go ahead and ask those below. So I was going to share with you, one of the things I discovered for a client today is, let me go back and pull up this map. That would be helpful to know or see. Okay, so there is a loan program called USDA, and it stands for the U.S. Department of Agriculture, and they offer 100% financing for their homes. or if you use their loan program, you can buy the house with no money down. The trick is that it has to be in a USDA qualified area. So when you think of agricultural, you think farms, right? So you have to think of where are their actual farm or farmland. And typically that's going to be way north of the metro Atlanta area. And specifically in the area that I serve, you're going to get a lot of that USDA area kind of like north of Gainesville, around Gainesville, down here around Brazelton, Jefferson area, Monroe, Winder. All of those areas are definitely USDA areas. So where, kind of there's more affordable housing is in typically these USDA areas because they're turning a lot of this old farmland into new construction neighborhoods. So the client was inquiring about wanting to buy a house with USDA loan. So they want to put no money down. And it was a townhouse. And builders right now are offering in these areas pretty darn good incentives for new construction. And so I called to one, confirm that it was in a USDA area. So we checked that box, it was. And then two, I asked what were the incentives available for purchasing a new construction home. The builder was offering $7,000 towards closing cost. And remember, my buyer's qualifying for 100% financing. So there are going to be some closing costs, but it's not costing her anything to do the loan. We just got to take care of some of these additional fees. So $7,000, that takes care of all the closing costs for the price point of this house that she was interested in. And the lender, the preferred lender for the builder, was offering a lot of money towards doing a rate buy down. So getting a better interest rate or better terms on her loan. So we are talking about buying a new construction townhome in the Brazelton-Houston area with zero money out of pocket. That's crazy. She is literally going to go to closing, sign all of her paperwork, and will not have to have paid a dime out of her account to get this house. So that is pretty cool. And that is incredibly hard to find these days. So there are still some pockets where you can find opportunities like this. Now, one thing you need to know about USDA loans is that there are some income limits. So you can't make too much money in your household. But for a lot of people, this is a really cool option to explore and see if you can qualify for that if you're able to look in those areas. We've got Bombshell Kitchen watching us from Florida. Good evening. Thanks for joining us. Wingman says, wow, I thought all the farmland was south of Atlanta. Yes and no. So, yeah, there's a ton of farmland south of Atlanta, especially down in South Georgia. Pretty much anything south of Atlanta is South Georgia. But yeah, definitely in the northeast and the northwest metro Atlanta area, you're going to have a lot of farmland out there. We've got Citizen PM watching us again from Salt Lake City, Utah. Thanks for joining us. Can you please provide more details on Cartersville area for investment purposes? Yes, I can. And that is a good area. And really, y'all, there's not a bad area for investment purposes in the metro Atlanta area. Where within an hour and a half drive that you can get in Atlanta and it fits your buy box or your criteria for what you want to purchase a house for, do it. And I'm not just saying that because she's a real estate agent. She just wants to sell a house. I'm saying that because home prices are not going down. Home prices are not going down. We've seen this now, right? We've been in this high interest rate for almost a year. Home prices have not gone down. If in fact, they've only gone up. So they're only going to continue going up. And the challenging part, and I hate this, is that a lot of first-time home buyers are getting drastically priced out of the market where they may never be able to afford their first home because it's just simply too expensive. And our wages are not keeping up with what it takes to buy a house for a first-time home buyer's market here in the metro Atlanta area. You can go down in South Georgia, you can go over to Augusta and find some good first-time home buyer options, but it's getting increasingly difficult to find in the metro Atlanta area. Kind of like you have to spend at least $350 to find a decent house. And that used to be a decently priced home here, or a more expensive home in the metro Atlanta area. When I got my real estate license 5 years ago, me selling a $350,000 house was kind of a big deal. We were selling a lot of $200,000 houses. So the price point has drastically changed. And because all these people can no longer afford to purchase a house, they are stuck renting. And there needs to be more rentals. And so a lot of people would prefer to rent a house versus an apartment. And so if you have the ability to invest in the apartments, that is definitely, or ability to invest in a single family home, that is definitely something to do. Sharon says, what about subdivisions in Cobb County? In terms of buying there's lots of great, neighborhoods in Cobb County. It is in a more expensive area to live. New construction homes are definitely going to be more expensive in Cobb County as well, just because it's closer into the Atlanta area. You've got really great schools there as well. And so both of those factors kind of drive up the price. So that's something to keep in mind. But if you're thinking about moving to Cobb and you want specific ideas of what would fit your budget and your price point of what you're looking for, reach out and we would love to help with that. Any rent-to-own homes, that is very hard to find. So there are a couple of companies now that have come along and kind of created where you can turn any home buying situation into a rent-to-own situation. One of those companies is called Divvy, Divvy. That is a popular company that will work with you, and they actually purchase the house and then you rent it back from them. But part of your monthly payment is going towards your down payment, and then there's terms around that. So, but there's not any specific rent to own homes exactly. But you do have some companies that can come alongside you and help turn any house into that possibility for you. One unique thing that there is here in the metro Atlanta area, and this blew my mind 2 years ago, there's a road that I travel down every single day to get to my office, and they were building this new construction community. And I was like, oh, I can't wait to see what the price point of these homes are going to be. It's in a great location, great neighborhood, it looks to be. And then come to find out, it was a new construction neighborhood being built solely as rentals. So they're building 200 houses. I think it was a D.R. Horton community. They built 200 houses. Immediately, they all became rental houses. And it was a neighborhood specifically planned to be nothing but a rental community. And that was wild to me. So if that doesn't tell you the demand for rental homes and why you should invest in real estate if you can, I don't know what else there is. Because literally they're building an entire brand new community just to be rental houses. And they're charging a premium for that because it's a brand new house that you're moving into. So that is definitely something to keep in mind. Well, thank you everyone for joining us on the live stream tonight. If you had a question that we didn't get to, go ahead and put those below, because we're always getting some really great ideas for videos based upon the questions that you ask and what you reach out and talk to us about. If you haven't already liked and subscribed to the channel, please make sure you do that now. It helps us out a bunch. And make sure you sign up for the newsletter. The information is below this video. If you're thinking about making a move to the metro Atlanta area, I want to be your real estate agent. So you can contact me below. We'll have a conversation, connect, and put together a great plan to help move you to Georgia. So until next week, there will not be a live stream. I will be traveling to a real estate conference, but I will see you on the channel Sunday for a really great video that's going to drop. And then I'll see you the following week on the live stream. See y'all next week or the week after.